Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi LIVENODING. In this video, I want to do something with a array modifier, but kind of thinking of array modifier, but inside SphereChalk add-on. So it should be pretty basic, but still, I found it to be kind of interesting. So we know the fact that if you have an object and then you are using Blender Array Modifier, you can easily kind of make duplicates of objects, instancing it in X or Y or Z directions, and you can kind of combo it even like this. You can adjust and arrange and things like that. But have you ever wondered, what if you have this array and you want to be able to center it, so as if all this cube is like centered, and you want to kind of grow the array in all the three axes. Have you ever thought about that? And it's kind of tricky, right? Because you increase the array that way, and then these guys should move this way to the center and things like that. So that's why I actually often think in the nodes way. So instead of thinking of like array, nodes can really help to do this. So let's save this as SV array XYZ. I just call it array XYZ. So let's use two nodes, line and plane. So this will actually kind of display and visualize my idea here. By default, a line will create a line that's kind of growing in X. If you think of the points of the line, it is actually can be you can think of them just like the array. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 points, and it's growing in X. You can change it to Y. You can change it to Z. So 3 axes. And if you are using the points of the line as the transform for duplications, then you have something that looks like an array modifier. Indeed, that's actually what's happening, right? So that's you kind of understand that. So this, you can also center it. This is where it gets pretty interesting, because suddenly you're able to do this like array duplications where things are centered, and you can even normalize it, but I don't want to do that for now. Just center it, and suddenly you have this way 3 axes where you can generate objects like this. And so this can be really useful because you can create duplication with anything. Basically, you can use another line. So if this line, I also center it and I want it to grow in Z, and then plug this into this guy, suddenly you have kind of like all these lines that's growing. This seems like basic, but if you think about it, this is actually really powerful, depending on what you're doing. Because at any time in points, we can work with different axes, even like Z, for example, and then you change the axis up here, and you're able to create this kind of arrangement. And if you want to do like a bit more, like you want to apply the transform, for example, so this line with this transform, and you join it together, now it's become this. And if you bake it, you can see this is just a bunch of lines. Even just bunch of line is really useful, because you can perhaps use offset line. I'm not sure if this works. Maybe it will. Oh yeah, it works, but it's kind of offset it in that direction. But you see, this is actually kind of interesting as well. So let's not to go too far. Let's go back before. Oh, actually, I think I can keep this because this is kind of interesting. So let's do the same thing, but instead of duplicating line, let's duplicate plane. So let's do that real quick. Just copy all this, duplicate it, and replace this guy with plane. We don't need the offset line. So with plane, the same thing will happen. And we can center the plane, and the plane also you have these options X, Y, Y, Z, Z, X. This is for the plane, which direction you want it to be facing. This is really handy actually, because you can also control the X and the Y of the plane. So you can have that, and you can change the line and control all these variations that you can easily create. So let's make this like 10 by 10. So you have this, and let's duplicate this, change the color. Let's make this red, this one green, change it to different directions and different axes, change the stepping. So you can have this kind of grid very easily. You still have control over the resolutions, and you can control that guy, and that's the length. Let's do one more in blue color, and this guy can be what's y z, so y and z, and this guy can be in x. So yeah, at one point in time you will perhaps encounter a need to do this. I cannot make it transparent, so that's okay. But really you have control over this, and you can bake it out, and you have this kind of arrangement. This is not it's just pretty unusual, but at some point in time maybe you will need this kind of like all the slicing. And yeah, at this point you can also extrude the face of each slices pretty easily. Similar thing to what we are doing up here with two lines. We are making this array of planes, but we can use it for to make like a building, to add like a fake slicing of building. And think about it, and you can actually use this to as a boolean, so you can easily slice buildings like for different level. But the cool thing, of course, that this is like all kind of like a centered. So that's seems like really simple, but you think about it, this is actually really powerful. So yeah, maybe you can make something based on this, and you're not limited to plane. Of course, you can use anything, like a circle, for example. So a lot of possibilities. With circles, we don't have options of X, Y, Y, Z, Z, X. But if you ever find a need to do that, you can use rewire, and you can change the axis of the circle. Remember that you have all these possibilities. So yeah, let's see what this can be useful for in the next live noding. This is like array X, Y, Z, and center. It's more like kind of way of your brain to think of it. Oh, you are able to do this really easily using nodes, and so based on this knowledge, what else can you do? There's a lot of possibilities, because you can rotate and you can scale each one of these duplications much easier than a simple array modifier. Yeah, I still found Blender Array Modifier is powerful, but in the long run, this array can be a little bit limiting. But so I always want to convert this powerful modifier as a nodes, and suddenly it opens up and unlocks a lot of possibilities. So there you go. That's array, XYZ, directions, and centered. Hopefully this is useful. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye.